Hi, man. You okay? Hi, man.
Yeah, just run us through team news, possible injuries and how Shawcross, Shaqiri and so on.
Ryan Shawcross has got a slight strain in his back. He's not available this weekend. We're hopeful for next weekend. Shaqiri has just got a slight tear in his rec fem, so that's going to be maybe 10 more days or so. So we'll need that to settle down. Eric Peters hasn't trained up to today. We'll hopefully he'll go out on the field tomorrow. So we'll make a late decision on whether or not he's available. Other than that, it's mostly the long-term injuries. Mark Wilson, Shea Given, they're still unavailable.
What kind of response are you expecting from your side, or hoping from your side after that defeat by Southampton last weekend?
I would expect a good one more often than not. I've said it many times this season. Whenever we've disappointed ourselves with performances or results, which unfortunately was the case last weekend, we've always bounced back very, very quickly, and we want to finish the season strongly. We've just come off the back of a run of 4 games where we won 3 and had a good performance and result draw at Chelsea. So disappointing thing of last weekend is that we've had a number of situations this year when we've been on good runs and been on the cusp of just getting into key positions in the league, and we've just slipped at the key moment of the key game, and since it was a little bit like that at the weekend, but it's up to us now. We've got 8 games to go and see how well we can do in each and every one of them. We could win every one of them, but the way this season is, we could falter as well. So I think it's about this time of the year for everybody. It's about keeping focus and getting the job done, really.
Does that slightly infuriate you that you can play so well for large parts of the season, and then there comes a little bit of inconsistency? Can you put your finger on any reasons?
It's not a consistent issue for us, but it does happen, and when it does happen, it's not consistently the same thing. So it's not just one thing. It's any accumulation of things, but it's not just one that we can address. So I think we just got to make sure we're not unknowing about those situations when we just fall a little bit short, and we obviously demand that we recover quickly, and for the most part that's what's happened this year. So fully anticipate that will be the case the weekend.
Will Watford be harder or easier to play after that kind of win at Arsenal last week?
It's difficult to say. Let's hope they've been celebrating getting to the semi-final at Wembley. I thought they played really well on the day. Deserved to go through, in my view. So they've had a great season. You have to say that obviously the story of the season is Leicester, but if that hadn't been the case, then Watford and the season they've had, given that they were only promoted last year, they would very much have been in people's minds in terms of the story of the season that we've had. So that's credit to them. They made a lot of changes. They kept a number of players obviously that got them up, but they made a lot of changes in personnel, and that sometimes can go awry. So they've been able to cope with that, and have looked very comfortable in this league for a long time. So they'll look back on this season with great credit, I'm sure.
I think the Igalo-Adini axis troubled you here.
Mm-hmm.
Will you make special plans to deal with it down there?
Nothing special. We prepare, as we always do, to try and negate the threats of the opposition. And you're right in saying that the game here, Watford played very well on the day. We allowed the more influential players to affect the game, and as a consequence, it went away from us. But every week we face strikers or qualities that strikers and attacking players have. We face those type of players every weekend. So we don't pay special attention. We have a game plan that obviously incorporates things that we need to do well to stop the better players in the opposition having an influence. So that'll be the case against Watford. Obviously the 2 guys up top have had a big influence on how well they've done. Miguel has scored 14, 15 goals, I think he's up to now. Deeney hasn't scored as many, but he's probably created as many for his teammate up top as anybody. So they're a good pairing, good partnership, work off each other really well. So certainly there's something that we'll talk about before the game.
On the positive side, the major aim presumably then is to stay unbeaten and get a place in Europe.
Yeah, well, I think that's a challenge for us. It's as I said, it's 8 games, and we've shown in this league that we can go up against anybody and play well and win. We've shown the reverse of that as well on occasions, unfortunately. But we like to set targets. We like to raise expectations of ourselves and of our fans, and we're always looking to challenge ourselves. And this is another challenge. Can we go from now to the end of the season unbeaten? Be difficult because we've got some really difficult games coming up, and not least at the weekend against Watford away. But I think it's a realistic goal, and all goals need to be realistic. And if we have a good finish, which we have done for the last two years, then we'll have a very, very good season and look back on this season with pride. So it's there for us if we want it.
Mark, you mentioned a couple of injury problems there. Do you think you've got a big enough squad to be able to manage that nowadays? Do you think there's enough players, enough quality in the squad? Well,
I've got 25 like everybody else. It's difficult at times when you get multiple injuries in the same position or the same unit of the squad. Then obviously that's what's happened to us in terms of defensive players being unavailable through injury, and it's been difficult at times. We've had to move people around. We haven't had that consistent selection of a steady back four. More often than not, when we've had that option and we've had that continuity in selection, we've done really well and looked really solid. But it's no coincidence. I don't think that you look at Leicester and their ability to pick the same team week in, week out has undoubtedly helped them, along with obviously excellent play along the way as well. But continuity in selection is something that every manager wants from his team, and the ability to pick a consistent team is an advantage. But for the most part, we haven't had the luxury of that this year, unfortunately.
At this point in the season, what are you sort of focusing on more? Pushing up the table or consolidating the top 10 position?
No, we're looking to push on. We want to get as many points on the board as we can. That's always our aim. We concern ourselves with acquiring points on the board because historically you can look back and think, well, a certain number of points will get you the position you want anyway. It may be a little bit different this year because I sense totals for European places or top 10 places will be higher because of the way the season has panned out this year. So we may have to revise the actual target that we set at the beginning of the year. But it's still within reach, still realistic, so we'll try and go.
So you're not ruling anything out then, because you're 8 points behind Man City, 6 behind West Ham.
No, it's a business end, as it's called, and 8 games to go, and we've got an opportunity to finish really strongly if we set about it in the right way and have a little better look at the way, which you always need. But like I said, we disappointed ourselves at the weekend. We made a couple of mistakes, set plays and key moments in the game, and that took the game away from us. But prior to that, we've been playing exceptionally well, so we want to revert back to that if we can as quickly as possible.
In regards to Watford, weekend's opponents, you mentioned a moment ago how impressed by them you've been and how they have one of the stories of the season. Have you been surprised by what they've done?
A little bit, because I know how difficult it is when a team's promoted and they come up with a lot of belief in what they do, but sometimes that belief can diminish as the season progresses. But that doesn't seem to have happened with Watford, and that's to their credit. They've got a good manager who obviously has got good experience in European leagues and seem to have taken to the Premier League very, very quickly. So they've got a lot of things in place that have been positives for them and enabled them to have a good season.
Mark, you're on a drive to Europa League. So a lot of top clubs are quite blasé about it after a time, and they almost see it as a distraction to the Premier League. Do you see it like that? Or?
I'd like to have the opportunity to see it as a distraction. Make no bones about it. If we ever get to a point where we finish in a league position, and given how much hard work and graft that you have to put in to get a European place, then we wouldn't take it lightly. We'd approach it very much as a priority for our season and see how far we went in it. I can understand totally when you've got games on Thursday, and then as the season progresses, really difficult games coming up on a Sunday after having maybe travelled across continents, and then you're getting back late. But we take that inconvenience just to experience it again. And I've said many times that the last experience this club had in Europe, everybody connected with Stoke City really enjoyed those moments. So we'd love to replicate that if we can.
What do you think being in the Europa League would offer a club like Stoke?
Well, it offers standing in the game. Obviously, it helps in recruitment. Players look at clubs that are involved in Europe. They want to be part of European competition. So that's a help when it comes to recruiting the players that you need to sustain your seasons moving forward. So it's the next step for us. Hopefully, if we can become a team that's consistently challenging for the European places and getting European competition on the board at the beginning of every season. That's the hope and aim.
Mark, just a couple of players you didn't mention. Charlie Adam, Glenn Johnson, Paul Burleson.
Yeah, Glenn's still not back in full training. He's progressing, but a little bit slower than we hoped. But he's getting there, but he's not with the group yet. Phil Barclays is back training. He should be available at the weekend. And the last one was Charlie had the game in midweek. He's a little bit sore in his groins at the moment, so we've just got to make sure that's not going to hamper him too much. But he played Tuesday at 75 minutes along with Stevie Ireland, so hopefully it won't allow him not to play, if that's the right phrase. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Everything I was going to ask about is we heard from Jack Butland earlier in the week that a new contract might be close. Where are we at right now? Is that the case? When might we?
I think it's close.
It remains close.
It's close. Yeah. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Okay, folks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.